following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix, Arizona, this is Brother Mike back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Welcome to KXXT Christian Radio. Welcome to the program. Today's Bible study, Gen Z, the generation that's lost. Hey, will you call somebody and tell them the radio program's on? Interesting radio program today for Generation Zers. Those are the late teens, mid to mid-20s, running around our society in an Antifa fog. Lost for sure. I'm going to go over it today with you. Thanks for making the call. Thanks for helping out the ministry. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. Been a counselor for 40 years and on the radio here for 20 years. On the website, HardcoreChristianity.com, you'll see all of our ministry services. When you go there, you can sign up for one of our free seminars. We have a women's seminar coming up very shortly. In November 5th, we have our last children's deliverance service of the year. You won't want to miss that. If you have a child that's 12 years or younger, please bring them for prayer. You'll be amazed at what happens. Thursday and Friday nights are live services for healing, preaching, teaching, and deliverance. Both these services are streamed on our YouTube teaching channel, youtube.com/houseofhealingaz. You can also sign up for my deliverance training course. It's the fourth Saturday of every month at noon in the small sanctuary at the Deliverance Center. Don't forget about the PayPal button and send us another donation. Thanks for supporting us for 20 years. Don't forget about Sister Karen. She works in the Northwest Valley. She'd love to list your house for sale. She loves working with born-again Christians. Generation Z. Oh, my God, the lost generation. Late teens to mid-20s or so, thereabouts. That's a Generation Z. Can you imagine that? I mean, these poor kids, it's so sad and so heartbreaking. The BLMers, the Antifas, the generation that never built anything, doesn't know how to build anything, doesn't know how to accomplish anything except destroying everything they don't like. It's the generation of destruction, and it is expanding and spreading. Okay? When you're young at that age, man, I remember when I was that age, I had the world by the tail, didn't you? I was optimistic. I was looking forward to my counseling career. I thought I had the world by the tail. I thought I was going to accomplish all kinds of things. I was enthused. I had hope. I had dreams. I was going to do this and I was going to do that. I had all kinds of stuff when I was that age. This generation, totally different. Okay? I was a Gen Z back in, the 1970s. And so everything has sadly changed, and it's now being documented. Let me give you an example. The 2019 Youth Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System. That's a long one. They did years of research on young people. Here's what they found. 19% of high school students seriously considered attempting suicide. 9% actually did it. The cost of treating patients who attempt suicide is about $70 billion a year. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death among Gen Zers. Can you imagine that? In the United States, 20% of high school students reported serious thoughts of suicide, according to the National Alliance on Mental Health and Mental Illness. 911 is an emergency number. You can call it if you have an emergency. 988 is a suicide emergency line. Please write that down, 988. Easy to remember. Suicide Emergency Hotline. Let me give you another example. Brigham Young just put out a research article in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence. They had been researching Gen Zs from 2009 to 2019. And they discovered something interesting. Number one, social media did not have much of an effect on boys. But for girls, it was a tipping point into clinical depression, suicide thoughts, suicide attempts, and actual suicides. Social media is particularly dangerous for girls. They noticed that girls using social media for 2 to 3 hours per day at the beginning of the study got gradually worse, so that by the time they were 13 years old, their time on social media had dramatically increased, and they became hardcore prospects for suicide. Social media is extremely damaging. The Chinese government sent us TikTok. TikTok is a satanic method of destroying the minds of our young people. In China, they have TikTok, but it is extremely restricted. There is nothing similar to the TikTok we have. We have everything on there. Blatant sexual activity, bootylicious, extreme violence, insane behavior of Gen Zs. In China, they do not have that. They do not have that. They have, instead of a person working a pole like we have on our TikTok, they have people at a dance recital, properly dressed. It's completely different. China TikTok is censored and it's desensitized. They do not allow perversion, softcore porn, nothing. And the reason they are doing that is because they know it will destroy a generation of young people. TikTok is a plague. Social media is a plague on the minds of young people. Satan is using it to destroy their minds and generate fear, loneliness, and despair. And he's using it to trigger suicide, particularly among young girls. In January 2022, the survey realized that across every single dimension of well-being, everyone they surveyed, such as happiness, health, meaning, character, relationships, financial stability, over every spectrum, over every one of them, those 18 to 25 years of age felt that they were worse off in every single area. They were shocked. Children today, the Gen Z, has a sense of hopelessness. Why? Because this is the first generation completely from birth to mid-20s, totally indoctrinated like guinea pigs in our society here in America of anti-Christian, anti-religious, materialistic, hedonistic identity politics, wokeism. This is the first generation from the very moment they were born till this very moment has been inundated with Satan's army of sin. Satan is destroying Christianity in the United States, and the reason it's being destroyed and the reason he's so effective is because the churches are so weak. They're such failures because they left the power of the true gospel and did not do what Jesus said. He said, I did not come to bring peace on the earth. I came to bring a sword. Parents will turn against their children, children against the parents. A person's enemies will be the people in their own household. Why? Because Jesus preached hardcore truth. In our society, like Catholicism, like the Southern Baptists, like the denominational system, they have watered down the gospel to the point where it is useless. And the Gen Zs are the first generation that was exposed to the apostate church. And they have been destroyed. And they are destroying themselves. And they are destroying others. Like the BLM riots. Like the Antifa riots. The only thing they know how to do is destroy something, because a thief comes to only destroy. He steals. He kills. He destroys. And that's what this generation is all about. Disease. Destroying themselves, destroying society, and destroying others. Life expectancy in the United States dropped for the second year in a row. Can you imagine that? The greatest country in the history of the world, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, and people are dying younger and younger every year. The church has failed to give people true hope, the moving of the Spirit, healing and deliverance, and hardcore Christianity. They have failed. They have failed. There's a Harvard study that came out, and the study was very interesting. And it indicated that family life and participation in religious communities across the country substantially improved the attitude of people and the minds and souls of young people. What TikTok's stealing, they notice family life and religious communities can restore. That's why Satan wants to destroy families, because he knows once he does that, the infrastructure of humanity in America will just simply crumble. He will steal all hope and goodness and truth. He will steal all beauty from our generations. He's doing it right now as I'm speaking, and you have been called by God to stop it.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.